Good afternoon. My name is Ashutosh Garg. I will be presenting a paper which was originally supposed to be presented by my colleague Bijal Gangar. It is about convection section tube failures in steam generation service. So we will be talking about how we diagnose the tube failures in convection section and how we overcome that problem. So I'm presuming all of you are familiar. So I'm presuming all of you are familiar with fired heaters in the refineries. They are used for preheating hydrocarbons for further processing in columns or reactors. So the heaters which we are going to be talking today were part of a catalytic reforming unit, and mostly in catalytic reforming heaters, you will see the process is all radiant. And then to recover heat, they install steam generation sections to recover the heat and then send the cold flue gases up to the stack. So the heaters we will be talking about specifically is H1. This was a battery of 5 heaters, and they had process duties in all the radiant sections, and convection sections were generating steam. So the heater H1 was getting hot flue gases from H5 and partially from H3. And then there was another steam generation section for in H2 and H7. But due to brevity of the time, we will be focusing today on H1 heater. So the client contacted us and told us that they are experiencing tube failures in the third, fourth, and fifth rows. And that had been happening for about 3 years. In 2017, they had tube failures, and they had tube failures in 2019. Actually, they were planning to replace some tubes. So that's basically was a problem that was given to us, and we decided to study the problem, and we looked at the original design data. As I said, there were 5 heaters. Here we are presenting the data for 4 heaters. The H7 was kind of independent. Firing rate for H1 was around 165 million BTUs. It was generating about 174,000 pounds of hot flue gases. The flue gases entering the convection section or leaving the radiant section was around 1800 degrees F, which is pretty high. Leaving the stack or leaving the convection section, they were being cooled up to about 724. And these hot flue gases were going to SCR for further processing and then to a waste heat boiler. The convection section was a very typical convection section. It had 2 bare rows at the bottom as a shield section, and those tubes were installed at 8-inch pitch. All the tubes were 4-inch schedule 80. And then we had 3 rows of steam superheater coils. 1 row was bare, and there were 2 rows of fin tubes for the steam superheater service. And after that, we had 15 rows of steam generation. And these tubes there were 6 passes, parallel passes for the steam generation coil. The 15 rows were finned, and the fin configuration was 0.75 inch height, 0.10 feet thick, and 3 fins per inch. So that was the fin configuration. So this was a forced circulation steam generation system. So the circulation ratio was around 5.2. The steam generation was around 88,000 from this heater. There was about 43 pounds pressure drop in the steam coil. Mass velocity was around 270. The flue gas mass velocity in the convection section was 0.92 in the shield rows and 0.74 in the upper rows. And we looked at the two-phase flow in the steam generation coils, and we analyzed the flow regime using Baker's chart, and the first 5 steam generation rows were experiencing slug flow. So this, once we did the initial analysis, we came to a conclusion that the flue gas mass velocity is very high in the shield section and in the upper convection section. Fin tubes are also seeing very high flue gas temperature, and there is a slug flow occurring in the first 5 rows of steam generation coils. So that was kind of our conclusions, that these are the 3 things which could be causing tube failures. So we did a tube by tube analysis, and you can see here we did the analysis for the first 5 rows of the steam generation, and you can see the peak heat flux. The flux was ranging anywhere between 48 to 38. I mean, it goes down to 34 in the second, but then because of the fins, again, it goes up to 48. So these fluxes were very, very high, and you can see even the flow regime was in the plug, started with plug and then it went to slug. Now, if you are familiar with slug flow is unstable flow. It is basically slugs of liquid, then slugs of gas, and it's kind of that is how this flow is defined. Lot of times slug flow causes vibrations in the coils also. So that is basically how the flow regime was analyzed, and that's where we thought the problem was. We also looked at the firing rate, and it appeared that over a period of about a year or so, or 6 months here, that the firing was very much close to the design. I mean, it's a lot of times it was going above the design, but on an average basis, it was close to the design firing rate. So we ruled out kind of overfiring being one of the causes of tube failures. Then we analyze the operating cases, and here we will present one operating case. We analyze the operating data to see what is really happening in practice. And this was one data, and here also we saw that they were generating about 70,000 pounds of steam. Circulation ratio was a little high as compared to 5.2. It was almost close to 8. Mass velocity was little low, but again the slug flow was in the first 5 rows. So we were still experiencing slug flow even in the operations. We looked at the flow regimes and the peak heat fluxes, and even peak heat fluxes were again high, actually, but they're in the 40,000 range for the operating case also. So we thought that, okay, these are the 3 things which we need to work on. We need to work on high heat fluxes, flow regime, and mass velocity. So we talked to the client and we said, hey, we need to revise the convection section design. And these are the 3 things which we will be addressing. We will take care of the high heat fluxes and unstable flow, try to lower the heat fluxes down, and try to see if we can get rid of the slug flow as per the Baker's chart. So our solution was that how do we lower the peak heat fluxes? So one option was to use bare tubes instead of fin tubes, or we increase the tube pitch in the bottom rows, and by increasing the tube pitch, we are able to reduce the flue gas mass velocity. And once we reduce the flue gas mass velocity, the heat transfer rate comes down. The second challenge was to eliminate slug flow. And there we realized that if we can increase the mass velocity, we will be able to change from slug flow to bubble flow. So we came to a conclusion after a lot of simulations that if we reduce the number of passes from 6 to 4, we increase the mass velocity, and still using the available pressure drop, we will be able to eliminate the slug flow regime. This is the Baker's chart, the two-flow regime chart. If you are familiar, we have on the x-axis Bx, and here we have By. This is the stratified flow. This is the unstable slug flow or plug flow, as we call it, this regime. This is bubble or froth flow. This is the desired one. Then this is the dispersed flow, and this is the annular flow, And over here is the wave flow. So we analyzed our flow regimes using the Baker's chart. Baker's charts has been there for more than 50 or maybe up to 70 years now. These are the coefficients we talk about, By and Bx, and these are the nomenclatures. We take surface tension into account, density of the gas and density of the liquid, mass velocity, gas mass velocity, and liquid mass velocity. So all those things are taken into account. And this is basically a plot of different cases. So this is stratified flow, again a Baker's chart. This is wave flow, annular flow, slug flow, plug flow, bubble flow, dispersed flow. And if you see the existing convection at the original design conditions is the red color one, and that is basically in the slug regime. We also did the operating case, existing convection, and that was also in the slug regime. And then we did 3 iterations. We looked at using 2.5-inch pipe NPS, 3-inch NPS, and using 4-inch NPS. And in each case, we were able to shift the flow slightly towards the right and convert it into bubble or froth flow. So that's basically what we tried to achieve. And these were the proposed options we gave them. We said, hey, we can change all the tubes from 4-inch to 4-inch, but all bare tubes, steam generation row throughout the convection section. Then the second option was 3-inch tube 6 pass, all bare rows, or 2.5-inch NPS 10 pass, all bare rows. So this was the 3 initial proposals we gave. And then what was happening was when we were using all bare rows, the steam generation was going down and client did not like it. So we came up with a hybrid design. We said, okay, we will use we will use a combination of bare and finned, so we will use bottom in the first 6 or 8 rows, and then use the finned rows in the upper section to improve the heat transfer. So this is what we came up with. This is still not the final design which we are showing you, but this is existing convection section. This is proposed convection section. And you see we made the change in the bottom. We spread these tubes out. That's basically what we did. Did not change the steam superheater coil. And then in the steam generation section, I believe we used the lower section as bare and the upper section as finned later on, actually. Initially, we had done the simulation with all bare, but then since the steam generation was going down, we ended up using this Bayer and this Fendt actually. And by doing this, we were able to solve the problem. We were able to lower the heat flux drastically. You were able to change the flow regime from slug to bubble. We were able to lower the flue gas mass velocity also. So with all these changes, we were able to accomplish the objective. And here you see the existing convection section flux heater peak flux profile. This is the operating conditions in the green. Then we have the red, which is like just changing 4 bottom rows as bare and then at the operating conditions. And then this blue and dark blue are the ones which are at all bare tubes, 4-inch, 3-inch, 2.5-inch, and you could see we were able to lower the heat fluxes drastically. And we were able to solve the problem. We installed the convection section design, and it's been running for almost 2 years now and haven't had any issues. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you again. Bye.